shit, I probably for it. Mayang buntag, mayang hapon, mayang gabi, no matter where you are in the world. I'm doing my check. So I kind of want to see if there's any sound on this. I got sound. So we'll try this one again. Mayang buntag, mayang hapon, mayang gabi, no matter where you are in the world. Welcome to today's live stream. Today we're going to kind of talk about having.
Oh, she's asleep, and then I'm gonna change her diaper.
Yeah, as I was getting ready, someone.
Wait. Oh, I already turned on the AC because she's sweating.
Oh, okay.
She's like, yeah.
I kind of heard her in the background.
So I'll change her diaper, and then I'll feed her. And then
Very cool.
She'll just say, hi, everyone.
The newest YouTube star in making.
Okay. Bye.
We're kind of proud. Love you. That Cindy agreed to try and help bring Chana in whenever possible to help give everybody frequent updates on how China's doing and where her growth is and all that fun stuff. And that actually kind of leads today's topic for discussing how Cindy and I are doing with being new parents. That thank you much for being in here. I'm going to send a message. Give me a second. But Cindy and I have both repeatedly said this, and it is immensely true in more ways than you can possibly imagine, that we are grateful beyond words that Mama and Papa are here to help. I'm sure we could, and thousands of people have figured it out in the past on how her and I can deal with this by ourselves. I am confident we probably could have done a good job with it, but it would have been way more difficult than necessary or needed. And that's the big part right there, is it would have been way more difficult than necessary or needed. And Mama and Papa are taking a huge burden off of our shoulders in a lot of ways. Mama and Papa, that they still feed Cindy, that Pumpkin really doesn't go out of our bedroom. That Tuesday, we had to go down for a checkup. That she had her first PD appointment, and about freaked Cindy out. The doctor held and supported her head from front and back, and then picked her up by the shoulders. He didn't shake her, but he moved her back and forth and kind of demonstrated that yes, baby Pumpkin is fragile, but she's not breakable. That she's breakable but not fragile. I don't know how you want to say that, but the doctor kind of helped Cindy understand you're not realistically gonna accidentally hurt her by picking her up wrong or something like that. But yeah, make sure her head's supported for at least a month, first couple months, until she can start holding her head up by herself. And yeah, when he picked her up I thought poor Cindy was going to have a freaking heart attack. She wasn't quite ready for that one. you'll have to excuse me. My morning coffee is important still. But and I've actually got my backup water for as soon as my coffee's done too. But I, it's being a challenge. Even with Mama and Papa here. Cindy's still figuring out breastfeeding. Chana's still figuring out how to get milk out of those things. That she makes Chana try and get a little bit, and then get a little bit, and then get a little bit during the day, and then overnight when Mama watches, the Chana uses a bottle for that point, but Cindy pumps her breasts frequently during the day, and she is producing a ton of milk, so that it's not a problem. By all rights, there should be some to store, even so that tomorrow, Cindy has, I don't know if it's her last or they're going to be ongoing for a while, but she has another OBGYN appointment. That she has another OB-GYN appointment here. And so Chana's going to stay with Mama and Papa while we're at that. And then we're going to immediately go down to the Office of Civil Register. Cebu office, I don't know. We're going to go to a civil office of some kind and do the registrational live birth to get the paperwork started for the PSA, Philippine Statistics Authority, to do their job and get a birth certificate. Because we need a birth certificate to give to the U.S. consulate to register for Social Security number and passport. And I'm not sure if we're going to need two different copies or if one copy will be shared, or if we're going to be better off having one copy to go one place and one to go to the other. I don't know. But first we got to get one. And the next step in doing that is getting the certificate of live birth reported to the local registrar's office. And we need to get with them and find out whether or not they just do a bulk over there, if we would be better off paying for a courier to take them over, or if we would be better off just hand delivering it. And then if it's the last option, we'd need to figure out where to hand deliver it to. So we need to find that one out. And then when the PSA gets it, her and I have talked, we're going to get the maximum amount, or 5 copies, whichever is greater, original certified copies. That way we would have a copy for the U.S. to get the Social Security, a copy for the U.S. to get the passport, a copy for the Philippines to get the passport, and 2 extra copies for us to keep on file, ready to go if we ever need something in the near future. And if those 3 come back, that'll give us 5 extra copies that we've got just in case, and they're certified original copies. I worked for the government for way too many years. I've learned to have paperwork and triplicate redundancy. When she was going to get one of her swab tests before the birth, she's got this amazingly accountant level file folder stuck together of Phil Health and everything else, and 2 people in front of her that had Phil Health got turned away because they didn't have the right paperwork. And when the clerk came up to her, she was saying, well, you're going to need to go get this paperwork. And said, no, I don't need to go get anything. Here you go. And you, wow, cool. You're next. But yeah, we keep paperwork and redundancy just because of that. And as time and things go on, that it's been repeatedly helpful on our flight over here because we had paperwork and redundancy. EVA Air was actually getting ready to turn us away because I was a foreigner and we're traveling on an American passport. That they showed copies of my 13A and they didn't understand what that was. And so we broke out a letter, an email that I had printed out from the Philippine embassy in the U.S. saying that no, on a 13A visa, you are allowed to enter country and you are allowed to travel freely with or without your spouse. And so that saved us a mountain of headache because at that point it was only one flight a week. Mayan Gabi, Bob, how are you doing today? Yeah, it's Mayan Buntag. It's good morning here. Gotta love that 15-hour time difference. We're just talking about new parenthood and Cindy and I getting used to it and being immensely blessed with having Mama Papa here. Talking about some of the paperwork issues that we're going to be going through here in the next couple of weeks and the next couple of months. Having a Phil-Am kid in either country isn't quite to the level, but it's almost to the level of immigration paperwork. And because we're needing it kind of expedited because of wanting to go back to the U.S. this spring, that we're having to go hand deliver a lot of this paperwork and find these offices and keep on them to make sure the paperwork gets out and gets completed in time and in a timely manner. Because I'm fully retired, it's kind of important that we get the paperwork in to the Social Security office through the consulate as quick as possible because Chana is actually entitled to Social Security benefits. And so if we can get them in within 6 to 8 months from birth, they'll actually be retroactively dated to birth. And so it's not a huge amount, but it does mean a small check to come. And again, this is something we're going to have to find out whether or not it gets added to my check or if we're going to have to figure out a way to let them know to deposit it into my account, our account in the U.S. or what. But the next step in that process is to get her a PSA, a Philippine Statistics Authority copy of a birth certificate. And the next step to getting that is to take the registry of live birth that we've got from the hospital and register that with the Cebu City Office of the Register, Civil Register, and get that certified in theirs. And then we need to figure out if they're going to do it in a bulk thing, if we can pay to have a courier take it as soon as possible to the PSA, or if we can actually come down and get it and take it to the PSA. But we need to talk with them tomorrow after the OBGYN signs off and certifies the copies. That Mama and Pop, and that's one huge thing that Mama and Pop are doing with us. After Pumpkin's doctor visit yesterday or Tuesday, they went with us and they took Pumpkin home in a cab and watched Pumpkin that afternoon while we ran around and chased around and did paperwork, and then had to run down and buy breast pumps and some stuff at the mall and come back. Papa and I tried to go down and buy some of the stuff, and we got everything except the breast pump, and we just didn't know. That's not a guy thing to make a decision on. And they varied anywhere from a few hundred, 500-700 pesos to all the way up to 10,000 pesos, and we just didn't know. Uh, and so this way, Cindy was able to go down and take a look and ask the questions and get answers to know what questions to form. And so it just went way smoother for her to be there. But again, with Mama Papa here, we were able to just leave Pumpkin at the house and do that. That without Mama Papa, could we have got it done? Yeah, we would have had to have figured out a way to get it done. And there's a chance we may have wound up hiring a yaya to help out and to do some of the stuff, but it wouldn't have been the same as Mama Papa. And that's the big thing right there. Is this is Mama Papa, so that that it's their grandkid. And Cindy, if you're still watching, what is Bisayan for grandkid? That's one thing I haven't ever asked Papa about. Anak is a general term for little one child, beloved child, that kind of concept. It's a term of endearment. And but I don't know what grandchild would be. And Anak is actually both Bisayan and Tagalog. And you'll frequently hear Cindy call Nak, N-A-K, that they'll drop the A and just shorten Nak, and it's the same word, just shortened. But yeah, with Mama Papa here, and it's doing a manifold help and blessing in that this way, Pumpkin's learning and hearing Bisayan from birth, so that it's going to be very easy for her to pick it up. She's hearing English from Cindy, Papa, and I from birth, so it's going to be very easy for her to pick up. Cindy and I are trying to use as much baby signs as we can with her, to the point where her speech and language centers are being developed as much as possible from birth. Morning, Mr. Daniel. How you doing today? Good evening for you. Good, yeah, mine gabi for you. That yeah, you and Lubiana C are about the same time zone, just way different latitudes. Everybody's doing really well. That Mama and Papa started watching Pumpkin from like midnight to 6 in the morning. So that helps Cindy get sleep way better. I've tried watching her, but as long as Pumpkin's in the same room. Hey, Philly, how you doing today? That I'll have to see if Cindy can make a return appearance with Pumpkin. That she came on right after we started. So if anybody wants to see Pumpkin, go look at the first 2 minutes. Yeah, I completely skipped a groove. Every time I do that, the scene from the Muppet movie with Animal playing drums and just comes to a blank stare for a minute, and they wind up shaking him because he skipped a groove. I need somebody to come over and just shake me when I do that, I guess. I don't know. That Mama and Papa have taken to watching Pumpkin from about midnight to 6 in the morning, so that Cindy can get some sleep. I tried watching her and staying awake, and would do that. I didn't have the problem doing so, but the second Pumpkin made any kind of noise, even just a little cooing and talking with Dad, Cindy was instantly wide awake. And so it didn't let her get the uninterrupted sleep she needs. And we don't mind Cindy, or yeah, we don't mind Pumpkin making an occasional quick trip in here. But anytime you see Pumpkin on live stream, it'll be from the bedroom. Uh, but yeah, because I still smoke in this room, so we don't want Pumpkin exposed to it. Matter of fact, I've taken to leaving the door completely closed generally. But yeah, the Mama and Papa being here are an immense blessing for that. That now Mama and Papa go to bed fairly early anyhow, and they normally get up 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and we'll just sit and talk with each other. They'll spend time with each other, and so them getting up a little bit earlier and watching Pumpkin and getting a nap during the day is not a big deal for them. Papa's used to being up way early to go get things done, and so is Mama. The first couple days we did badly, Bob, and that's where Mama and Papa stepped in. We're not getting as much, but yeah, that with Mama and Papa watching Pumpkin from like midnight to 6 in the morning, that's letting Cindy get a good night's sleep finally. It's 6, it's 5-6 hours, but it's uninterrupted deep sleep. And then she'll normally catch a couple naps during the day as well. Pumpkin's still at that age where she sleeps 20 plus hours a day. But Cindy was having a stereotypical mother's instinct, and the minute Pumpkin made any kind of cooing or crying or any kind of noise whatsoever, that she would go from asleep to wide awake instantly. Yeah, you start out life and end up life doing the same. Andy, at this point, Mama and Papa plan on staying here pretty much indefinitely. That we intentionally got a 3-bedroom. That way, Mama and Papa have a room, Cindy and I have a room, and then we've got an office / guest room. Over on this side, I just got a box there because it kind of makes a cool little table in addition to the table I've got in the back. But Cindy and I here in the next week or two are going to go down to the Metro store and pick up one of those foam fold-out couches and put it in here. And her brother and sister-in-law are coming up, and that her sister-in-law is expecting at the end of November, beginning of December. And so in her last couple weeks that they're going to be coming up and staying here so that they're close to the hospital. She's going to Cebu Doc through her works insurance, and that way she'll be here when she goes in labor, and that way she'll also have Mama and Papa here and everything else. So but it was just for circumstances like that we got the 3-bedroom. Is that way we have room enough to deal with that. That was a big part of the reason being so close to the hospitals was why we got this particular 3-bedroom. I will definitely let them know that we're still hoping, and things are opening up well enough that Papa and I may take a couple day jaunt down to your place. I know it's not Bislig, and I can't think of the name of the town off the top of my head for some reason. I'm just pulling a blank. Names escape me horribly. That, as a matter of fact, we may roll it into a multi-purpose trip. That Ironically, in Bislig City, Nasipit, there we go. In Bislig City, that there's an open MRI. There we go. I'm slightly claustrophobic. When I had the MRI done for my back, they were able to turn me around and put me in feet first. I asked this orthodoc whether or not they'd be able to do the same here. And he said, yeah, he didn't think that that would be possible, that it would be, because I'm claustrophobic and it's going to be about an hour in the tube. There's no stinking way I would do that. That I would need to be fully sedated. And just an hour in that position on that hard of a thing would about kill me anyhow. So for me to stay still for that long on that would not be realistic either. Which is going to be a challenge enough in the open MRI to stay still on that long. But at least it would be realistically doable in the open MRI. But the ortho that I see here would like to get a new MRI. And so we may roll it into a multi-purpose trip going down there, renew some old acquaintance, see your place, and go get the MRI done. And by going down and including the medical portion to it, that it should smooth any problem traveling. Now that we definitely were not expecting to be parents, that as I said, this may make a good video for both of our channels. We need to try and arrange this in a PM to do an interview with Cindy and I about that, because we were both diagnosed as infertile and we're told do not expect children independently from each other. Oh, very cool. That would be awesome, guy. I would appreciate that. And that kind of goes into the comment that I made on your channel earlier today about the reality of Phil-Am marriage and the expectations that they're not even close. The expectations were more fantasy than reality. That I know, Andy, you guys have some on that. Bob just did a video on his channel about the expectations and the reality of Phil-Am marriage. That I know in your case that there's been some discrepancies between the two. And you might make another neat couple for him to interview versus it's a wonderful happening. I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. But as far as what I was looking at, what it would be 6 years ago when we were getting together, yeah, no. Not even in the same state, let alone ballpark. And I know with some of the stuff that you guys have had go on, I know it's got to be close to the same for you. And if you can kick back and learn to embrace what comes on, mold what you can into what you would like to see, but embrace what comes on, it will be the most amazing time you've ever had. If you're going to resist it and fight it, it's going to be the most horrible time you've ever had. And a lot of it is just going to come down to how you handle it, because it's going to be nothing like the fantasy that you painted in your head. I can guarantee that. That just the experience of coming here. I asked you about it when when we kind of did that interview when you were on Bohol, and you said that you've been here repeatedly, but the reality of being here long term is so dramatically different than the reality of being here on vacation, that they are almost, that there's some similarities, and it does help prepare you for it. But the reality of day to day, and you're not going home in 2 weeks, is a challenge. And that's a huge thing. Cindy and I got talking about this, that another couple we know of, that they're having some issues, and it's getting better, thank God. Any of you that are praying people, definitely keep them in prayer. That they're going through some stuff, and at this point they've agreed not to bring it up, and it's working for an interim. It's a band-aid, and I've highly encouraged Cindy, and she agrees. That they need to get some marriage counseling and bring it up and dissect the issue in a safe place. That but they can't just ignore it. They can't just ignore it. And that's something Cindy and I learned early on, that Tampa doesn't work. Just hiding from the issue, it doesn't go away. It just gets buried and it festers. And we've had some we've had some rather loud, intense discussions about things, but we've learned never bury them. It is sometimes better to say, hey, give me 20 minutes. We'll talk about this, but I need to get unemotional before we do. And come back and kind of carefully dig into that wound. And it can be a hard thing. But Cindy realized, after doing it a couple times, that it is quite definitely the best way, and quite realistically the only way to handle things. Is to sometimes take a pause if necessary, but get back into it and dig into it. And it may be painful, but dig into it. And that's why it's important to, as Bob just said, knowing when to back off, and knowing when emotions are too high to deal with it. But definitely, without question, deal with it. And that's something that her and I have worked with immensely. That there's been a few things with Pumpkin that we've talked about and are dealing with currently. Some of them are pretty silly. Some of them are more major. Some of them are long-term issues that we're not too terribly worried about. With all the stuff going on back in the U.S., we're probably not going to educate Pumpkin in the U.S. And this one kind of surprised me coming from Andy. I know politically we're kind of at opposite ends of the spectrum, but even he agreed, that the U.S. education system is going overboard. It's not worth it at this point. Will there be a turnaround in the next 4 or 5 years? I have no idea. I can appreciate that, Andy. But so, and to be bluntly honest, the education isn't terribly different than it is here. And here that they stick to the 3 R's: the reading, writing, arithmetic. You learn history. You learn history from a Philippine perspective. Cindy and I can help, teach Pumpkin history from an American perspective as well. And that's the big thing there is I'm not going to try. And I don't want to try and teach philosophy to a kindergartner. Let's let them learn what ABC is. Let's let them learn what red, blue, green is. Let's let them learn how to mix colors and make blue and yellow into green. Let's let them learn that stuff. A 5-year-old has no business choosing what identity what sexual identity they are. That they don't know. It has just gone too far overboard over there. And to be bluntly honest, a lot of kids that have came from here to the U.S. have tested out at or above grade level when they entered U.S. school systems. Kids that come from here that go to the U.S. and wind up doing college, that they do perfectly fine in the university systems over there. University educated people here will generally be able to go in Man, good beat you, Jojo. Matter of fact, Cindy's entire bachelor's degree transferred into Grand Canyon University to do her master's. And so I'm not terribly worried about it. A lot of the programs here, a lot of the CPA programs qualify you to with experience set into the CPA exam back in the U.S. Nursing, you can actually take the NCLEX and all that over here without ever leaving the Philippines. A lot of nurses are already certified from here. Back in the U.S., we have a Filipino friend of ours that he's a paralegal in Arizona, and at this point has no interest in getting his law degree moved over, but he's a bar certified Filipino lawyer, and was talking with him and another American lawyer friend of ours. And I guess some states, if there's a few states that allow you one try at the bar exam, and if you pass, you're a bar certified lawyer in that state. If you fail, you have to go back and make up so many credit hours of the different American law. But both of them pointed out that there's actually a booming BPO market in the Philippines. That for a lot of the legal research that the first year associates do is being moved over here. It's being done by Filipino bar certified lawyers, but it's being done by lawyers here that work at a quarter of what a paralegal would get in the U.S. And it's the exact same work done with the exact same libraries, done to the exact same standards. So, as far as education, that I'm pretty confident we'll educate Pumpkin probably through university level here. Bob, transgender. Yes, it is way more tolerated here. Tolerated and accepted are a little bit different. That you do your thing, I do my thing, is tolerance. Accepted in an American or Western concept is embraced. It's but here it's tolerated. Cindy tells. I started to say myself. Cindy tells a story of a friend of hers during college that he played on the college team. He was transgender. He was one of them that liked to dress up in women's clothes, and he was liked to dress up in women's clothes and date men. But he was also a really good basketball player. But when it came time to play basketball, he went into the men's locker room. He hung up his dress and skirt and heels and put on a uniform, and he went out and he played with the guys as one of the guys and didn't demand or want any special treatment or anything like that. And the team members treated him as one of the guys, and he went back and he got on his skirts and heels and lipstick and went out and did his thing, and the team members treated him as a gay and didn't have a problem with that. And I have never seen a problem with gays or transvestites or whatever behaving in that manner in the US. If you're comfortable dressing up as a girl and being that way, that's on you. That I personally have convictions that if you're willing to listen to it, I would more than willingly share with you that that's not a great lifestyle. But if that's how you're comfortable, by all means, go for it. That's on you. Don't force me to accept and embrace that lifestyle. It's not for me. Yeah, that one kind of surprises me coming from Missouri. Have you heard anything about that, Bob? I know you're up in that general area. And yes, here it is way more tolerated, and it's a lot more common because it is tolerated. They're generally not harassed or anything like that, and they shouldn't be. That it is a lifestyle choice that they're making. And I agree with that 100%, Bob. That up until the last few years, transgender, gay, all that had been labeled as a psychiatric disorder, and people could get help because of it being just exactly that. Unfortunately, it was removed from that, and um, that they're not getting the help that they need. That there are a lot of other disorders out there that are the same way. If I think I'm a car, I probably need some help. If I think I'm a female, I probably need some help. But unfortunately, in today's society, if I think I'm a car, I might get the help that I need. But if I think I'm a female, I'm going to get encouraged with that. And I see that as no different than now. I kind of don't want to go down that road on this channel in a public view because there are so many different. And Andy, I think a lot of times, especially in the US, that is exactly what's going on. And because they are so forward about welcoming anybody that they think might be uh, supporting them, that they will welcome people and encourage behavior towards that line. I have a person that I know, kind of a friend, but we haven't spoken in several years, but and not anything bad or negative. We just kind of went in different circles. But he has floated in and out of the transgender community repeatedly, and that is one thing that he's made comment about. Is that it coming out of the transgender community has always been extremely difficult because there is no one to welcome him, and most people view it as a very negative thing. Whereas going into the transgender community has always been so stupid, so easy. And there was a huge community welcoming him into it. And he struggled with the identity issue. He finally moved back to hometown area where he had never exhibited that behavior. And because of that, really isn't getting the support from that side of the community or encouragement. Oh, it's okay, come back. That and that he had to fight with here. Yeah, yeah, you gotta love this channel. We do manage to wander topics. And yeah, Bob, you are right. And that's something every kid goes through. That there is some confusions and stuff while you're figuring stuff out. Figuring who and what you are. As a kid, one of my best friends was a girl. I didn't mind playing Barbie periodically, and she didn't mind going, catching crayfish in a creek periodically. Neither one of us were confused, but we didn't see the problem with a boy playing with a girl and a girl playing with a boy. And some of our friends gave us crap over it. But neither one of us had a problem. Both of us grew up pretty well adjusted. As little kids, first, second grade, we actually even had sleepovers at each other's house. But in that era, we didn't worry about, parents didn't worry about crap. About third grade, about third, fourth grade is where where parents finally said, yeah, no more sleepovers. And that, and it was probably a good thing they did do that. And that's just it. That Andy, you are 100% correct. There is a physical, biological difference between men and women, and that I don't care how many operations you have. There is still a physical, biologic different makeup between men and women. Always has been, always will be. There are some species. Bass, they believe, largemouth bass, they believe actually does go through a phase where for part of their life they are one sex and then move to the other. There are some animals that do that, but humans are not one of them. Yeah, I don't see a problem with educating people in the Philippines. Oh, Andy is filling some Joe. I guess maybe I should go back to using your screen names. No, let me see that is one thing that, like I say, that I had one of my best friends was a girl, in early grade school, and in kindergarten, kindergarten, I actually got on a bus and went home with her. Her parents called up my parents, and your kid just showed up here. the parents fortunately laughed about it and didn't have any problems with it. And that my mother didn't understand where I was because they're going out to meet at the bus. Going out to meet. I actually walked from school, so my mom came and picked me up. She was bused from school because that it was far enough away that they bused. And somehow my mom didn't see me in the bus lane, and so I just went home with her. And she was kind of a little bit panicky, but it wasn't like today's age where all kinds of red flags got thrown up and everything else. They knew I had to be somewhere. They just weren't there, but they weren't where. But the teacher did get kind of a talking to over that one. People kind of, the peers kind of teased us about it, but both of us were comfortable enough with it that it didn't bother either one of us. And if Chana has a boy that's a good friend when she's a kid, I'm not going to try and tell her, oh, you must be a boy. I'm going to tell her, okay, cool. What's your friend want to do? And Jojo, that's kind of why I am looking at raising Chana here. That Cindy and I have both talked about it. We love the U.S. and a lot of what it is. She loves the U.S. enough that she got citizenship. She's voted every time we were there, and that we still prefer the lifestyle and the values that are here. Hopefully in the next few years that some of this wokeness will fall by the wayside and common sense will prevail. And from the election in Virginia, I'm thinking that may actually be coming true. So I am sincerely hoping that it is finally starting to come to fruition and realize that it doesn't work well. Ironically, just before I logged on to do this live stream, I was watching a video of Vladimir Putin at a Russian think tank describing a lot of the stuff that's going on currently in the West and saying Russia's been through this, that during our founding, during the Russian Revolution, that Stalin and others tried to do the same exact things throughout communism, and it didn't work. And at this point, they're kind of leaving it as a hands-off and kind of watching and seeing where it goes, but they're not interfering with it other than just kind of reminding hey, people, we tried that. It didn't go so well, but you knock yourself out. And then let me honestly, that's actually part of the problem is they are making it too easy to transition into stuff like that than back out of it. And they're accepting the abnormal as normal, and that's part of the problem. They're accepting the abnormal normal, and they're trying to make it as not tolerated, but accepted and embraced. And here, most things are tolerated, but not necessarily accepted and embraced. And that they don't have a problem with you if you want to go out and dress like a girl. They don't have a problem with you if you're Muslim. They don't have a problem with you on most anything. But as long as you don't force your agenda on anybody, they are willing to leave you alone. That there are a lot of groups that go out and speak their mind and speak, how they believe, but they still respect the authority and the establishment. And I don't have a problem with that. Give me just a second. That I know this has been an hour, and I actually did want to get some stuff done with Papa, but I am going to go see if Chana's able to come back and say mabuhay with everybody. Give me just 1 second. Actually, probably about 2 or 3.
She's awake.
Here, mama, sit.
I'm gonna do here so they can see Pumpkin. Oh, look at her face.
Yeah, guys.
Mabuhay.
Her eyes were open a minute ago. But from Cebu City, mabuhay.
I say, Papa, you're cute. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Yeah, sorry about the back camera movement. That actually we don't have a birth certificate, and the Philippines birth certificate's kind of our government form. They're just printed on yellow paper. I'll try and find a couple and give you a ballpark on what I'm looking for. But Jojo, you're from an area where you know this. You know the old family Bibles that kind of had the ornate stuff around the name, and you put the parents and then the child and all that stuff. But something like that we could frame on a wall for is kind of what I was thinking about. If you want me to do an interview on your channel, I will gladly do that. That other than these office live streams, it's a I try to stay out of political discussions. The office live streams so far, I've never been penalized or in any way refrained from it, but I do try to steer conversations away from too topical of an area. But yeah, that I don't mind discussing and giving my opinions, but they're just exactly that they're my opinions and beliefs. And most people here so far understand that they're exactly that they're my opinions and beliefs. And I will gladly share and explain why I do believe that way. I'll welcome discussion. Phil and some Joe and I have had some discussions in private. That him and I do come from very different political beliefs and camps, but we're able to keep a very civil discourse going and don't have a problem with it, and realize we're probably not going to change each other's mind, but at least help each other understand how and why that point of view was built. And that's all I'm trying to do. That's all I ever try to do is help people understand how and why my point of view is built. That I going along your line of thought there, Andy. I guess it could kind of depend on which biologic sex was actually having that discussion. Because, anyways, I'm not going to go down that route. That one would get me banned from YouTube. But and that's just it. I don't have a I have my own firm beliefs. I don't have an agenda to try and enforce my beliefs on someone. That and yeah, I'm not looking to try and force someone to believe the way I do. If you're willing to, to listen and politely discuss it, I got no problem with it. I will. But if it's going to degrade into name calling and crap like that, no, I'm going to politely excuse. I'm politely going to excuse myself. The humor that we're just going through, I got no problem with that. That is kind of cool. But no one here takes offense to it, and that's the big thing. And love you honesty, and that's the big thing. Is there are times that these transgenders and these gays do have offensive situations, but they don't take offense to it. They just move on. And that's the big thing is they don't take offense to it and they move on. But the bamboo grapevine runs deep and long here. They let all of their gay friends and they let all of their friends know, hey, this guy's an idiot. He didn't treat me like, he treated me like crap. And suddenly people like that don't get the support that they have. It's not a boycott or anything else. It's not a protest. It's just a matter of, this guy's a jerk. Why buy anything from him? There's too many other people out here that are trying to sell the same exact thing. Sometimes it's just a matter of, he's just an idiot American. But yeah, that too many people are going out looking for offense. A couple years ago, this one was kind of comical in my opinion. And I got rather snide to this person. I hold doors open for everybody. I don't care that if I see somebody coming up behind me, if I notice somebody coming in behind me, I'll normally hold the door open and let them go in first. It's just something that I've done. And there happened to be a person coming behind me that it was of the female biologic this gender. And that she screamed at me about holding the door open for her, that she can hold her own doors open. There was a couple words inserted in there that you make up your own mind on. And that she proceeded to slam the other door open and berate me for, treating her like that. And I kind of calmly told her I hold the door open for anybody. I don't care who they are. That I'm sorry that I didn't recognize he was a fat cow, and I wouldn't have held the door open for livestock anyhow, and moved on and did my own business. And yeah, that she didn't find that one humorous. That I found way too much humor in it, which back when we had the accident, before we made it back to the compound, people at the tricycle drivers and the people that hang out around out front that help with errands and stuff, they knew about the accident before we got back. Yeah, the bamboo grapevine runs deep and long here. Let me see that's actually a common problem, not just in that respect, but that's actually a common problem in general. The parents are absentee at this point. Most parents are one of two extreme categories. They're either the helicopter parents that are involved in every minor detail aspect of the kid's life to where the kid has no choice of their own, or they're completely absentee parents to where the kid has no guidance or direction whatsoever. And Yeah, neither one is a great model. And Jojo, that and self-admitted, you're from an area that you are frequently labeled as a judge of cracker, and hence the name. Uh, it. I don't want you labeled with that stereotype in a negative way any more than I want the guy that's of African descent labeled in a negative stereotypical way. And I try not to view anybody from any area, but as Jeff Foxworthy points out, the minute you come out with that Georgia accent, most people knock 50 IQ points off immediately. But he makes a joke about it. He doesn't get offended by it. He realizes it's there. He makes a joke about it and moves on with life. And whether it's right, wrong, or indifferent is irrelevant. Can you help? Yes. Don't appear to be 50 IQ points lower than you actually are. And the next time they come across somebody like that, they're a little bit less likely to do that. The guy that's going to continue to do that, you can correct them as much as you want, as often as you want. You can show him every fact and figure in the world, and he's never going to correct. Get over him and move on. And that's the big part of it is we're just too many people are looking for offense, and there's too many things out there that they can find offense in, and that's all they're doing at this point is finding offense in everything. If you want to look for racism, you will find it. If you want to look for good and joy in people, you're going to find it. But if that's all you're doing is being so negative, down, and pessimistic that that's all you're looking for, that's kind of a small life. That I think I missed a comment about the rebel flag in the orange car with the Dukes of Hazard. Yeah. Oh, I learned a long time. I learned a long time ago. If you can't laugh at yourself, you ain't got no business laughing at anybody else. And I make for some pretty good entertainment for myself a lot of times. But yeah, that it. I'll be the first one to point out some of my own stupidity. I'll be the first one to defend some of my actions that, hey, it seemed pretty good at the moment. But yeah, hey, can I say? We don't always completely think our lives through. Oh, Wes has a rebel flag. Okay. Okay, I was missing the comment. I'm not having my reading glasses. I was reading it as he has a. Okay, never mind. That my ex-wife and I used to go to a big music festival called Country Thunder every year. There was a boss at work that every year we went, we'd get him a souvenir. And he was not a huge country fan, but he did like country music periodically. There was one year that they had this really cool flag stand. They had a Confederate flag and they had an American flag. He's from Alabama. The Alabama flag at one point had incorporated part of the Confederate flag and all that it was part of his heritage. And I was going to buy that. He's actually a U.S. Army veteran. And he has a flag. He's very proud American and all that good stuff. But My ex-wife wouldn't let me do that, and kind of got angry with me for even suggesting doing that. And when I went back and yeah, I told Joe that that I had this really cool desk flag stuff that uh and told him it was Confederate flag and that, and he said I'm from Alabama. It's not a big deal, that it's part of my heritage. That he would have put it on his desk and given to him by a good friend. And this was late '90s. This was the late '90s before all this wokeism and all that crap came in. And that I told him that the wife thought it may have been a bad idea, and he said, "Yeah, it may have been a bad idea. That some of the guys around here may not have quite have gotten it." But Joe happened to be a black guy, but he was born and raised in Georgia. He came to Arizona a long time ago. He's got quite a bit of family there, but he didn't see a problem with it. And he made the comment during a conversation that a flag's a piece of cloth. The only meaning in it is the meaning you choose to give to it. And in this particular case, it would have been given, birthday gift given from a good friend. And that's the meaning that it would have had. And unfortunately, people will tend to go, at this point, tend to go with the negative context and look for the offense. But I'm actually well over my hour mark. And that's just it. That it's the Confederate flag does have Confederate connections, but it's as much at this point in time, it's as much about the heritage of being a proud Southerner than it is about anything else. And I don't know. It's just people are finding different ways to find offense in crap that there is no offense in. And if you're going to choose to take offense, I don't care what I say to you. I can say good morning, and it's going to be offensive. If you choose to take, reasonable, if you choose to find, good in things, anything I can say, it can be taken in a good manner or just flat out ignored. And if you choose to find the good in things, the bad can be ignored a lot easier. But, and Phyllis and Joe, you hit that exactly. You hit that exactly. And that is something that even a lot of the left is beginning to see, is that there is just way too much race baiting and division within their own party and within their own beliefs. And as long as that division is there, there's never going to be a unified front and will never be progress. Progress is never made by either extreme. Progress is made by finding a middle ground and working with it. But from that, if I don't log off, it's never going to happen. This discussion can go on for a long time. I got to hear your accent one of these days. We're going to need to do a Facebook call just to hear the accent, see whether or not I can sort it out. But from Tochik Compound in Cebu City, mabuhay.